Welcome to the Cedric Live Show. The politics of this country is, let's say, at the moment it's very dynamic. It's here, it's there, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of views, there's a lot of input from even the West, even from the East, even as far as China. But I'll tell you what, on today's show, we're going to ask a young politician in Uganda what his view is on the politics in this country. On the show today, we have Honorable Peter Ogwang, the Member of Parliament for Usuk County in Katakwi. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Cedric Live Show. On today's show, we have a young Member of Parliament, Honorable Peter Ogwang, Member of Parliament for Usuk County in Katakwi District. Honorable, welcome to the show.
First of all, I'm happy I'm here, and I'm happy I'm at your live show. So thank you.
It's an honor for me to have you. I know getting MPs to take time out of their schedules to come to these shows is difficult, but we're going to have some fun and see if we can talk about Uganda a bit more. Now, one of my first questions for you is, how does a young person get involved in politics? I know you're quite young. I know the age, but I'm not going to say it on national television. That's up to you to decide. But how did you get into politics?
I joined politics. First of all, politics, I think I began in my college level and at school when I was in secondary. I'm happy that I was also a young youth MP for Eastern Region. That was in the 9th Parliament, which I think I served diligently, and is the reason I was elected to represent the main constituency, that is Usuk County in Katakwi District. As a young leader, of course, I'm not ashamed to talk about my age. I don't think I'm now young because I'm now 36 years old. So I am now old enough to speak about anything as far as issues of governance are concerned, and particularly the politics of Uganda. In the 9th Parliament, as a young leader, we did quite a lot, and I want to thank the NRM government specifically for allowing young people to be able to get to Parliament, because in the EAC, East African region, I think it's only Uganda which has a representation of young people in Parliament. So that is a big achievement for the NRM government. So for me and for the rest of us young leaders, I could say I can say I have my personal experience, and also I have areas where I feel I can advise the young people specifically.
Yeah, for example, you're now a parliamentary commissioner.
Yes.
Of course, we celebrate these things. In Parliament, they're celebrated. At a national stage, they're celebrated. But what does it mean? What is a parliamentary commission?
A parliamentary commission, to begin with, is the highest organ of the Parliament of Uganda. It's where top decisions are made, for instance, in terms of recruitment, in terms of hiring and firing of anybody, or in terms of policy. So the Parliamentary Commission is composed of, I can say it's chaired by the Speaker of Parliament, deputized by the Deputy Speaker. Membership of the Parliamentary Commission, we have the Prime Minister, Minister for Finance, we have Leader of Opposition, and we, the 4 backbench members of Parliament, who are commissioners. In the NRM, they nominated us 4. And of course, I want to say still I'm the youngest, so that's...
So you're telling me in that whole Parliament?
Yes.
There are only 4 parliamentary commissioners?
We have 4 backbench. What I mean by backbench are those who are either not ministers,
yes,
because if you look at the composition, or not the Speaker.
Yes.
So the 4 of us are the ones who do day-to-day work on behalf of the rest, because the rest have their own offices. For instance, for me, in that commission, I'm charged with the responsibility of being in charge with finance and planning at the commission level. My other colleagues, there's one in charge audit, the other is in charge human resource. Then the 4th one is Honorable Cecilia Ogwal, who, with due respect, who is like our mother. She's charged with, she's our appointee to the parliamentary pension.
Right.
Yeah. So what we do is entirely overseeing the operations of the Parliament of Uganda.
First, remind me, how many members of parliament are there?
We have Parliament of Uganda has 462 members of parliament to date. But of course, as next financial begin, we might be able, because there are more districts which were approved. So there are districts which are waiting to be elected now, about almost 6. We expect to have an additional 6 MPs in the next, I can say, 2 months. So the number keeps on improving or adding up as more districts are brought on board or more constituencies are brought on board.
So it's some achievement to be selected to be one of the 4, amongst all these 462 plus 6.
That's why I want to thank the leadership and particularly my party,
yes,
headed by the president. Of course, at my level, the commission, I'm at the level of a minister, or I'm at the level of a cabinet minister. My privileges, I cannot discuss them here because I'll not be sincere to myself. My privileges are at the level of a cabinet minister. Of course, others don't know, but that's a fact. I have all entitlements of the rest of it.
But of course, that's wonderful, because that's just testament of your hard work. Of course, you say you served in the 9th Parliament, now you're serving in the 10th Parliament, now you're a commissioner. So I guess the next stage, what happens? You become a full minister?
I believe in God, because I've never ever thought of lobbying for any position, even this one where I am now.
Yeah.
I was appointed by the Central Executive Committee of NRM the last 2.5 years. Again, they have renewed the confidence in us. The 3 of us, again, they brought us back and opposed.
Yes.
Parliament approved us the other day and opposed. So we are really, I can say I thank the president and the central members of the Central Executive Committee. I thank the Right Honourable Speaker and Deputy and members of the NRM Parliamentary Caucus and the entire House. But mark you, when we're in the Parliamentary Commission, we don't serve parties. We serve Parliament as an institution. So all decisions we take, we don't take on behalf of parties. We take on behalf of Parliament as an institution.
You know, there's this perception out there that parliamentarians, politicians, ministers, and I think they even mock them in the media sometimes, that they're always sleeping in Parliament, that they're very old. But I've met many young MPs. You know, there's so many young MPs, so many people doing good things in their constituencies. But how come this message is not communicated with all the resources? Because whatever we see is always something negative or something that is sometimes can be misinterpreted, especially by the youth.
First of all, world over, when we talk about parliaments or parliamentarians or senators, I could say, for instance, if you go to the US, talk about the Congress, and then if you're in the House of Commons in the UK, with due respect, truth be told, most of those parliaments or senates are people who have retired from the service.
Yes.
That's why you see, if you look at the Congress, look at the UK Parliament, you find you to get someone below 35 years or 30 years. It's a myth. Unlike today, what's happening in the African region, particularly. And particularly if we talk about Uganda.
Yes.
The current parliament, I can say almost 64% are below the ages of 45.
Amazing.
So that means that of the 45, we have almost about 40% are below the ages of 40. So this current parliament we're in, where at least I can confirm that we have quite many young members of parliament. So for that purpose, the question of sleepy, it for me doesn't arise, because these are young leaders. And also let's accept that the elders have wisdom. So I don't see these elders sleeping, because at the end of the day, if one person does something wrong, it should not be generalized to all of us, because
I think it's not that, Honorable. I think the issue is not that anybody misinterprets their participation and their wisdom. I think it's the fact that the young people, it's not being communicated to the youth that they're actually youth in Parliament representing them. But again, when we come back, the politics of Uganda is getting quite hot. We're going to talk about it when we come back from the break. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Cedric Live Show. I'm here with Honorable Peter Ogwang. We were talking about the politics of Uganda. I think since the advent of multi-partyism, the politics of Uganda is getting very heated. Of course, you have parties now like FDC, DP, of recent People Power, and then, of course, most recently, General Mugisha Muntu's party, ANT. Now, is this a reflection of a good political atmosphere, or is this a reflection of discontent, in your view?
In my view, first of all, it goes to a 10-point program, and program number 1 is the restoration of democracy.
Yes.
So, and that's why and where my party and my founder leader stands out to be a great leader. He allows other political parties to come up. He faces competition. So for me, in my own opinion, it also gives people options to choose which party they feel they can belong and which one they cannot belong, and what programs they have and what programs they don't have. So for me, in my own opinion, I feel we're in the right path, only that I have my own observation, yes, which I'll speak about them later.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing them.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of politicking is being done in the urban areas.
Yes.
And also on social media. But the majority of the Ugandan population live in the rural areas. What is being done in rural areas, such as your own constituency, from a development perspective? Because we always talk about what's happening in Kampala, what's happening on a bypass, what's happening on whatever is happening in the urban areas. But I've seen some fantastic work in the rural areas. What's happening in your constituency?
First of all, what I want to put on record and to the viewers or the people out there is one or two things. Number one, in any democracy, people vote a manifesto. And I'm proud, as far as my manifesto of my political party is concerned, we made pledges to the people of Uganda. In my constituency, for instance, in the rural area, there were fundamental pledges which were made. For instance, the biggest was a road from Soroti to Katakwi to Moroto, tamaking of that road.
Yes.
The work is going on. It's almost at 60% complete.
How long is that road?
It's 150 kilometers.
That's a lot of road.
It's a big, big road. That road has been outstanding in the presidential manifesto since 1996, but I'm happy it's now being worked on in this current term of office. Number two, there was a pledge of rural electrification, electricity of the area, and I'm happy that work is going on all over the district of Katakwi, not only in my constituency. Number three, there was a pledge of piped water. Work is going on in my town council of Katakwi and other town council. Number four, there's a program of having a secondary school per sub-county in my district, or it's a policy of the NRM. I'm happy in my constituency, I have almost 1 or 2 sub-counties without secondary school. However, in next year's budget, even those sub-counties are going to get those secondary schools.
Fantastic.
So, number three, in terms of health coverage, it is also within the policy of my party and the manifesto that we have to have a health center 3 in each and every sub-county. I'm happy that is also going on in my constituency. So in terms of what the NRM promised the people in my constituency, I want to say implementation of the manifesto is going on well. So where is the problem? That's why you see a problem with the people in the rural area versus the urban area. The challenge of the urban area is one, of course the urban areas, you know very well that we have challenges of unemployment,
yes,
and poverty. This is an area now where I feel we must put in more focus. That's the reason you find new political players emerging and promising the country that they can solve some of these problems within 1 or 2 years, which I want to go on record. They cannot, because first of all, we operate on a budget, cash budget of every financial year. Next year's budget, for instance, if I say it's about 40 trillion Uganda shillings. So these new political players which are emerging, of course, are all giving, and their hope all is getting to the young people. So for me, as far as Katakwi is concerned, yes, we have a young population in Uganda today, but the young population in the rural is a population which looks at working, gets up, they have learned, they know what to go and do, utilize that land for.
Yes.
Unlike in the urban, the population we have today, some of them have read, they have no jobs. That's why we have a problem. So those without jobs, those without land, those without, for instance, other amenities are the ones who are now becoming a challenge to the current government, which I also want to say, despite all that, there are already areas where government has made a lot of proposals to support these existing young people who are unemployed. That's why you see I myself and my colleagues were the architect of the youth, of some of the radical government youth programs. Yes. I can remember very well the Capital Venture Fund, which was piloted by Minister of Gender. It was myself, my sister, the Minister of State for Investment, the Karohangas Gerald and Monica Moding, the Karandumani MP of Kumi, and then our colleague Nakawale. We are the ones who propose that can government come up with certain fund which directly tailored into these young people.
Honorable, do you think that the opposition leaders are ready to run this country?
I have a very big problem with my colleagues, particularly in the opposition. First of all, if you look at the disunity within the opposition,
yes,
just imagine a country is handed to them.
Yes.
And running a country is not like running our private houses. Mm-hmm. You cannot hand over a country to players who cannot even agree on one specific item. Talk about FDC within, they have their own internal problems. Talk about DP, they have their own internal problems. Talk about UPs, they have their own internal problems. The advantage with the NRM, we might have our small problems, internal problems, but we manage and also manage the state, which is not the case with the opposition. Yes. So why did Mugisha want to walk out of FDC? He walked out because he thought it was unfairly treated. Now, imagine if you can fail to solve your internal contradiction, how do you want to tell this country that you can manage the country? That's why, of course, my message goes to the young people that nobody should promise you heaven on earth that they can come and cause radical changes. And this is not only for Uganda. There are cases where such attempts have been made.
Yes.
And they have failed badly.
So in other words, you don't think they're ready to rule this country?
I want to get it on record. Opposition is not ready to rule this country, not even in tomorrow or in the near future. I feel they still have a long way to go. For instance, talk about the iPod. Other opposition political parties are refusing to come to join the iPod. I thought that's a platform where all of us must put in our own issues and agenda. Yes. But what's happening with other political opposition parties, they feel they cannot sit on the round table to discuss with the government, first of all, and the NRM party, which is in power, and specifically President Museveni. So where are they headed to? So for me,
I guess I have your answer, Honorable. When we come back from the break, we're going to discuss your vocal, your recent, is it vocality? Is that the word? Or vocal, you're speaking out on social media and the impact of social media in this country. Yeah, we'll be back from the break in a minute.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the Cedric Live Show. I'm here with Honorable Peter Ogwang. Honorable, you've quite recently emerged as quite vocal on social media. What's your view on social media and its implications on this country? You and Afande Kasinje, you're quickly becoming the kings of the clapback, if you know what a clapback is, but you respond quite quickly to people saying things that you might not agree with. But let's start with the important bit. What is your view of social media on Uganda?
First of all, of course, it's a fourth industrial revolution, which we're in now.
Yes.
And I'm happy that I'm more vocal on Twitter.
Yes.
And I feel Twitter has a certain category of people who, in my opinion, I feel must behave in a manner which is dignified, must respect the opinion of others. But of course, it's not happening today. But what I can say about social media is, among the young people, true, particularly we talk about universities, colleges, secondary, And in Uganda, I need to be given correct data. I'm told about 20 million mobile phone users, and I'm told about almost either 9 to something, 12 million who are active on internet.
That is correct.
So, you can't leave such a big number of people to always keep on engaging with them. And what we do and what I do most times, I tend to drive a narrative which is factual on information which the public must know. I am one who does not believe in rhetorics, maligning. I'm one who, as a leader, I must give correct information. So to those who don't agree with me, I want to state this, that those are your opinion, and they should also respect mine.
Yes.
The only thing I would still want to emphasize is, of course, freedom of speech, freedom of expression is good, and that's why Uganda is different from other nations in the world. But what I want to say is, moments have come whereby, to a big extent, I feel there's need to regulate. Because why would people...
But how do you regulate somebody who's sitting in Fiji somewhere, or in the North Pole, and tweeting about a Ugandan issue? How do you regulate someone like that? Because they don't pay OTT.
I have been in China,
yes,
of late. I've been to Addis Ababa, that's Ethiopia.
Yes.
And to other countries.
The Middle East as well, yes.
The Middle East. They are doing something better. But the challenge we have is, people can have fake accounts, use those fake accounts to derive a narrative which can cause problems. Let's talk about the security of a country.
Correct.
Including the US, I don't think anyone, anyhow, can begin discussing issues of security, national security of the United States,
yes, on
the social media. If you are a Ugandan who is in Canada, in America, can you please have some respect for certain matters of which are of great concern of a nation? That's why you see, for me, I would appeal that there are things we can talk about. Abusing Ogwang, where he comes from, or abusing Museveni, okay, as a person, but can we have respect for certain areas as far as social media is concerned? And that's why for me, security should be a no-go zone. Point number 2. Number 3, the second one is on the issue of tribalism. Sectarianism on social media, that's an issue which we must really say.
But I think it's all ism, sexism, racism, tribalism.
Now, talk about these things of Father Lokodo, where those funny pictures. Can we have respect for a human being which was created by God? But you find people dumping all whatever. So for me, that's where I have a problem in social media. However, as a means of communication in the 21st century, good. Yes. And we have, for me, I want to appeal to my colleagues and our great leaders of this country. We cannot run away from this engagement with these young people because they feel that is the area where they can pick information or they can give out information. So I talk about other things.
Which leads me to my next point.
Yes.
I think that I know you.
Yes.
That's my good fortune.
Yes.
And I know other young members of parliament.
Yes.
My good fortune.
Yes.
So sometimes I understand why certain things are done. But sometimes the general population don't understand why certain things have been done. And they misinterpret it as, let me give you an example. MPs the other day agreed to increase their allowances, right?
Yes.
The perception is that MPs already make billions and millions and this and that. But you see, I know why it was increased, but how do you explain this? And the problem with things like social media is that they are quickly misinterpreted. So don't you think that we should use avenues like social media to explain the workings of Parliament? Parliament itself has a handle, it has a Facebook page, it has to explain how these decisions are arrived at.
First of all, I want to put it on record. Unlike what is in the media and the public out there, which I think I've attempted to explain it, but people don't understand, is that the so-called increment of MPs' allowance or salary is not there. That should not be put in. I'm happy. I'm speaking to I'm talking this and it will go out to the people. What is in Parliament is about areas of unfunded priorities. For instance, the current financial year where we are ending by 31st of June is that we have been operating less 101 billion shilling, like any other government entity. So where you have a budget deficit of 101, it's important you plan in the next financial year's budget to cover that deficit.
Correct.
But what was picked from the social media and all other people out there is that we members of parliament have increased our money, our allowances, I want to get again go on record.
But I think the issue is that the fact that there was 101 billion shilling deficit was not communicated before the decision was made to move it into next year's budget. So I think that should be communicated so that there is no misinterpretation.
I was coming to talk about the cadres in civil service. That's what I have a problem with in terms of communication. So I was saying that if you have a deficit in the budget, you must of course work on seeing how to improve it. However, that you must work with the government. The challenge which we have as a government as a whole, for instance, what do cadres do? They are meant to explain some of the things to the public. We have departments of communication, Parliament of Uganda. It's not only in Parliament. We have, I can talk about other entities. There are PROs, but other than Ofono Fondo, who is always on any media house to try to talk about the government.
But we're talking now on the Cedric Live Show.
I'm happy that Cedric finally, ever since he joined UBC, he brought a new innovation, which is good.
Yes, I mean, this is what we're supposed to do.
This is what we're meant to do. But the challenge, of course, is most of our talk shows go on political issues. They don't focus on development aspect. They don't look at analysis of sectors, which for me I'll be happy if you invite me next time to specifically come and talk about the role of Parliament. Because people up to now, up to tomorrow, they even don't know what the role of the second arm of government is. So that is the challenge which we have in our country. People lack information, but sometimes those who feel they want to claim they're experts, even those who are uninformed, they want to begin claiming they're experts. That's why some of them, someone has not even taken about to, or has not spoken over 5 times in the parliament, but they are claiming they want to become presidents. So you can imagine, if you've not gone on a parliamentary answer over 4 or 5 times, how do you want to imagine? But that is the challenge of a society of today.
Yes.
People want to believe they know everything, and yet actually they know nothing. If you ask some of those claiming they want to be presidents, even the parliamentary rules of procedures, do they know? Even if you ask them what is the vision and mission of the parliament, where you asked for to come and be a member of parliament, do they know?
Well, of course they don't.
If you ask them how many committees of parliament have you attended, do they know? But these are the challenges which you have in our country. And of course, it's a big one, and I want to appeal to those who listen. And to us a few, those elite, and I'm happy, Cedric, this is the way to go.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, because if you come bring me here, the few will listen, the few will pick 1 or 2 issues. That's it. Others, of course, they will abuse. I leave them to God.
It's okay. But just before we go and before we wrap up, I just want you to give like a 5-second piece of advice to the young people of Uganda. You're a member of parliament. You became a member of parliament 9 years ago?
I became a member of parliament 9 years ago.
So imagine you were 27 years old.
27 years old.
Of
course.
Most people when they're 27, they're still looking for me to you, those funny things and misbehaving. And you went and became a member of parliament. But anyway, in the next 5 or 6 seconds, please tell us, or please advise these youth on what they can do.
Of course, my advice to the young people of Uganda specifically is that, first of all, nowhere in the world do we have free jobs. No nation gives free money in the world. All nations and all people have to work to get to work to be what they are. Governments facilitate the process of either creating room for investors to come and create jobs. Number 2, government work in terms of providing security. Number 3, governments work in terms of providing quality education, quality health. Those are the areas of government. But in terms of facilitating us to be what we feel we should be tomorrow, it's a myth, and we must accept work hard as young leaders, as young people of this country. We shall be where we want to be. The last one, of course, is on the politics. There's a notion which is coming up today that we must do away with the old, which I want to say, you're setting your own trap. There are countries in Africa which have demonstrated they tried that
And it didn't work.
and didn't work. So we must look at our history, very, very important, and look at where we want to go. And for me, the path we are in, we have oil in the waiting. It's because of the consistent path of our great leaders of this country and the security of this country. I feel in the next 10 years, Uganda will never be the same. We shall have more. I can say we shall have surplus, which will be able to help the country.
So, Honorable Ogwang, the future is bright.
Yes.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Good luck with your political career.
No.
And thank you for your contributions to Uganda.
Thank
We look forward to having you on the show to discuss the Parliament of Uganda. Thank you very much.
I'll be very, very interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Cedric Live Show. On the show with me as well today, in addition to Honorable Peter Ogwang, who had to leave the show because of his busy schedule, we have Allan Asiimwe, the co-founder of M-Farmer. Welcome to the show, Allan.
Thank you, Cedric.
And it's a pleasure to have you. You know, you guys who are young innovators, you know, trying to make a difference. It's always nice to see you on the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to have me.
Tell me a bit, what is M-Farmer? What is it?
M-Farmer is an innovation,
Yes.
but if you ask me what M is,
Yes.
then that is mobile.
Okay.
So M-Farmer or Mobile Farmer is a platform that we've developed
Yes.
to digitize how farmers or agribusinesses work.
Okay.
Yes. Now, it is an integrated platform using all the available technologies like SMS, USSD, IVR, mobile money,
What's IVR?
integrated or interactive voice response.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
So all these technologies have been integrated into our system
Okay.
to enable farmers or agribusinesses to access information, to get payments, to request for inputs, and at the end of it all, there is data. So besides the farmers, we have other users like public institutions or government departments and financial institutions who would be interested in knowing how this
For data collection purposes.
data collection purposes. Yes. So the two sets of users we have are the farmers, especially smallholder farmers and
Yes.
agribusinesses, and the secondary users then are the financial institutions, suppliers, even investors.
It's a wonderful application,
Thank you.
you know, and I sincerely hope that you make money like Dr. Dre.
We expect to make money. I mean, look at Africa.
Yes.
2030, the potential of agriculture is expected to be a $1 trillion industry.
You only need 10%.
Exactly.
10% is what?
So let's bring it down to Uganda
1%.
or East Africa.
Yeah, I mean the youth in Africa
Yeah.
is currently sitting at 250 million.
Yes.
And that's the demographic that you're probably going to sell to or
Exactly.
buy from, whichever way you look at it.
Exactly.
So before we get into the depth of the technology,
Yeah.
tell me a bit about yourself. You know, what's your background? You know, from school, where did you grow up, and
Yeah. My background, I come from an agriculture community or a farming community.
yes,
My parents were, yes, civil servants.
okay,
Actually, my mother was a banker, but all coming from typical agricultural backgrounds.
yes,
So I grew up seeing the frustrations, opportunities, and even when I had the chance to go to school and study about business, technology, I knew that from all these frustrations, there was opportunity
there always is.
in terms of providing solutions.
Yes.
So in 2013, myself and my partner Stella set out to develop an innovation that would solve some of these problems or challenges,
Okay.
like access to information,
Yes.
linkages or access to the
Where
marketplace.
did you go to school, as a matter of interest?
I went to Ndeje
Yes.
for
That's university.
O-level.
O-level, okay.
I went to Makerere College for
Yes.
A-level.
I went there too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but a long time ago, man.
Great. And Makerere University, where I did my bachelor's and master's in IT.
You did the bachelor's in IT and a master's in IT.
Bachelor's was in business,
Yes.
and then the master's was in IT.
Okay.
Yes. And fast forward, I was able to get into business environments or enterprises where I picked interest in logistics
Okay.
and technology, those two. So as up to 2013, I was working with Acer, the computer,
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I've seen
as a country manager for East Africa.
Okay.
Yes. But Acer or computers was mainly hardware.
Right.
And I knew that much as I wanted to take hardware or computers to solve problems, there was more, I had to look deeper into what exactly these problems were, because we're dealing with farmers,
Yes.
illiterate, semi-literate, who probably will not have a chance to touch computers. But I also knew that out there were technologies where they would be able to consume the information I'm talking about or access inputs, subsidized inputs, using technologies.
I've heard of something similar in India.
Yeah.
I don't know what the name is.
I think
Where the farmers are able to access information
Yeah.
using their devices
yes.
in terms of what are the current market prices, how much they should be selling for. Have you heard of it?
Yes, that is M-Kisan,
Yes,
M-Kisan.
that's it. Somebody told, I was reading about it, you know, I try to read sometimes.
Yes.
I know I don't look like it,
Yeah.
but I try to read sometimes.
Okay.
So, you know, is this what you're trying to do in Uganda in terms of getting information to the farmers?
We are trying to do that and more.
Okay.
I told you the three main areas or challenges that we've picked on
Yes.
is access to information.
Right.
M-Kisan is solving that very well.
Yes.
The other one is access to market.
Okay.
And the third one is access to credit or financial services.
Right. When you say access to market, what do you mean?
To the formal market. So before you plant or while you decide to plant your maize or beans, you should know who the off-taker or who is going to be able to buy these beans or this maize or this maize.
So basically, you plant knowing
Exactly.
where your product is going to end up in
Exactly.
the market.
Yes.
So you know about volumes and all this sort of
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
So basically, you can prepare yourself.
You prepare yourself, you have a peace of mind.
Yes.
So in this case, if I say you should be able to access finance or borrow
Yes.
to put money into your business or your farming business, you should know where you're going to sell. Otherwise, you won't be able to.
So basically,
recover
you
the
have
money.
this statistical information to make an informed business decision through M-Farmer.
Exactly. So, and the statistics is basically data and
Right.
analyzed at the farm level, at the farm association or cooperative level, or even at the processor level. So what we try to deliver is a system that can enable all the actors in a typical agricultural value chain
Yes.
to access information about production up to the time the records or the data make sense for you to plant in the next season or to keep on investing.
Yes.
So basically you have data which you're able to analyze or to use to improve your way of doing business. In any case, we are looking at moving away from the era of agriculture as a way of life to agriculture as a business.
Okay.
So you won't be able to do that without technology. Or that is our drive, being able to provide technologies for agribusinesses or farmers to be able to invest and increase their productivity. Farms right now, especially smallholder farmers, and when I say smallholder farmers, I mean farms sitting on small plots.
Yes.
That is maybe 1 acre to 5 acres, are only able to produce based on the current trends, up to 40%. Now, if they were able to access all the valuable inputs, finance, information about the weather or who is going to buy,
Yes.
then they should be able to take it up to at least 80%.
So tell me, there's something you discussed a bit earlier.
Yeah.
You talked about literacy levels
Yes.
in relation to M-Farmer.
Yeah.
Now, when I think of it, yes, you and I, and maybe a lot of other people,
Yeah.
especially in the urban areas, will understand this.
Yeah.
But now, how do you actually deal with some of the rural areas, you know, where there's different languages, there's different understanding of technology, and those things. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut to commercial. When we come back, we'll talk about that a little bit more, and a bit more than that. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Cedric Live Show. We're still here with Allan Asiimwe, co-founder of M-Farmer. We were just talking about this wonderful innovation, and we're talking about the literacy. How do you deal with the literacy issue, especially in the rural areas?
Now, literacy is something we've identified as one of the bottlenecks or issues that hinders the uptake of technology. However, being illiterate or having illiteracy in a community doesn't mean that that community won't be organized.
Yes.
So most of these farmers have organized themselves into farmer organizations,
Like cooperatives,
farmer groups, up to the level of cooperatives.
Yes.
So along the way, what we decided to do was to make it more of a business-to-business platform, or to use the approach of business to business.
Yes.
Initially, I said we were targeting the masses and trying to get people to subscribe for content.
Yes.
But we are profit making. We expect to
You have to commercialize, of course.
commercialize, monetize, and we noticed, or we realized, that the cooperatives or the organized farmer groups were more attractive to us in terms of business sense, being able to scale, and also making the technology a little bit accessible by all, whether you have money or not, whether you can read or not. So what did we do? We set up, like I said, an integrated platform. Uses web, USSD, SMS, mobile money. All these technologies play a role. One of those is to enable the administration of the cooperative to register these farmers.
Yes.
So the question would be here, how would someone enroll or get to use our platform?
Correct.
The easier way is, if you're a member of a cooperative, then you are automatically subscribed when the cooperative accesses our technology.
So it's through the cooperative, that
Yes.
by being a member of the cooperative,
Yes.
you have access to M-Farmer.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not on an individual basis.
It's not on an individual basis.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's how you register.
That's
through
how we
your
register.
cooperative.
Yes.
Okay.
And it gave us a much better traction because we were working with organized farmers.
Yes.
The profile of these farmers doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, because the information is trickling down from the cooperative. They're disseminating the information for you.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what are the tools or what are the technologies within the platform? We have web, we have the apps on the smartphones,
Right.
we have the SMS.
Right.
I talked about mobile money.
Yes.
Meaning that for you to be able to receive an SMS, for example, about the weather or about the next planting season or where to buy seeds, you have to be profiled.
Right.
And in profiling, we just collect basic, it's a KYC, know your customer or know your farmer process.
Yes.
So we get to know who you are, your age, your gender, in certain instances, which makes the data rich, maybe your national ID, and another unique attribute of that information is your mobile number.
Yeah, which of course now with the national ID, it's every phone number is pegged to somebody.
Yes, but in this case, we don't have that integration where if I picked your national ID number, then I would automatically have your number. So we collect all this information individually.
Maybe M-Farmer needs to partner with NITA, the National Information and Technology Authority. Or you already do?
We are already talking to them,
yes.
Because if we get to access an API
yes.
from
for the purposes of the viewers,
yes.
What's an API?
An application programming interface.
Okay.
Yes. So what that enables you to do is to correlate or to confirm the information or the systems which are already available, so I don't have to double check, or it helps me to double check because sometimes information along the way gets distorted.
Yes.
The other people we work with to enable us to reach these people are telecom companies.
Yes.
We work with government departments like NITA.
Right.
Work with government departments like Ministry of Agriculture. These are very key. And what are we trying to say is that while you try to do what you do, for example, extension services from the Ministry of Agriculture, we can give you technologies or platforms to enable you to reach more. We are basically supplementing on what they already have. Yes, they have boots on the ground, but with technology, then you're able to serve a little bit bigger numbers.
I was reading an article yesterday evening on Twitter, and the guy's handle is at TMS RUGE, and he was talking about how millennials are making farming, I think the statement was sexy, or something like that, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
But let me ask you something. Has government supported you?
Yes, I can confirm government has supported us. In particular, the Ministry of ICT through their National ICT Initiative Support Program.
Yes, NISP.
Yes, NISP. We participated or enrolled to get their support in 2018.
Yes.
And we were able to come out as an investable or a promising platform.
Okay.
And from that time, things have been looking up.
Yes.
One of the things you need to know is that with this kind of work, fundraising or trying to get investment is a little bit hard.
Yes. Because
not so many people or investors right now, especially in Uganda, invest in technology.
Yes.
Unlike other markets or areas like the US or even Kenya next door,
yes.
They are doing so well. They've been able to attract investors in their technologies, which technologies are meant to help or to.
I think it also helps the government through NISP and through the Ministry of ICT has taken an initiative on M-Farmer, simply because that in itself lends credibility to your second round of funding.
Yes.
And they, of course, now have a vested interest to ensure that your business becomes a success.
Exactly.
And first of all, I want to commend you. You know, many young people don't do what you do. And what you're doing is not just for yourself. I think you're setting an example for a lot of young people in this country on how to apply what they've learned in school, what they've learned in their careers. And I think it's a great initiative, and I want to wish you the best.
Thank you.
And I said to an innovator that these are the sort of things that people should invest in and give you guys a push, because I'm sure once you get that 10% of the $1 trillion industry, we won't really be having this conversation. It'll be harder to reach you.
No, I'll be glad to be back.
Yeah. When you hit the 100, what is 10% of $1 trillion? Do you guys know? Look at them. They don't know.
It's a lot of money.
They don't know. They can't. They're even trying to calculate on the phone, and it's saying E, because there's too many zeros.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Cedric.
I'm really grateful, and we'll be monitoring your progress.
Thank you.
But before we go, I'm going to ask you to look into that camera. I think it's that camera over there.
Okay.
And tell young people,
Yeah.
your fellow young people,
Yeah,
the youth of this
innovators,
country, the
the youth.
innovators,
Yeah.
the youth,
Yeah.
anybody aspiring to do anything,
Yeah.
give them a 10-second piece of advice.
Okay. To the youth, to the innovators, because youth are going to be the driving force in our economy right now. There's so many challenges out there, so many problems, and as you come into the sphere of the job market, you can choose to either come in as a job creator or a job seeker. Of course, the most attractive for me is being a job creator. Now, moving on, what you need to do to set yourself apart as a job creator is to start where you are. In this whole entrepreneurship thing, you're not going to learn about a failure or having all the resources in one place. But the biggest separator of those who make it and those who don't is being able to start with whatever you have, wherever you are, and making sure that you penetrate the networks that will enable you then to go to the next pedestal. One of my mantras as a person is impossible is nothing. When we started out in 2013, I tried so many times to walk back or backslide into employment, but then impossible is nothing kept on reminding me, and I had to resound it all the time to my co-founder, to my team. And in the process, we've managed to make progress. We've had very good milestones. And if you're out there and you think there are problems, then come up with the solutions, and the market will help you refine them. And always remember, impossible is nothing. Thank you.
Allan Asiimwe, co-founder of M-Farmer, thank you very much for coming on Cedric Live on UBC. And make sure you watch your show.
I will. Thank you,
Nice
Cedric.
to have you.
Live from the capital. It's your host, Cedric, live in the